So my name is Toks and I am a nursery interior designer, and I design baby and children's furniture as well as sell beautiful furniture for babies and kids. And in addition to that, so my selling is done in my retail store at the Baby Cut Shop in Chelsea. I've been doing that now for close to 19 years. 17 years. About 17 years I've been doing that for, both here and in the United States. I am also a mum. I've got 4 sons and been married now for 26 years. So it's a long time.
Wow, congratulations. You lost everything. And for small businesses, I think in the UK, in general, they say a lot of small businesses fail within the first 5 years or something. I don't know if that stat has changed. So you lost everything, but you came to the UK and you thought, you obviously started again, but from losing everything, how did you pick yourself up? I mean, I know you have your family, your husband, your children, but how did you pick yourself up thinking, I can do this again?
I think my initial thought was, I can't afford to fail. I'd never failed at anything before in my life. So me losing, I had already failed, losing the store, but I just felt like I needed to hang on. And remember that I had dropped out of university as well. And I knew my options were limited. I knew I did not want to go back into the pharmaceutical industry and do what I was doing previously. Literally didn't want to do that. I didn't think that I could go back to school either and go study something else. And, but I happened to be really blessed in the sense that my parents were very good at speaking words of life into us and really making me believe that I could do anything. My parents said that to me. Even now, they still say that to me. They truly made me believe that. And so that helped, because when I had the brilliant idea, which some people would have called a crazy idea, to start a company selling luxury baby furniture in the UK, all I heard were my parents' voice, "Oh, you can do anything. I could do that." And I could see it clearly in front of me. But I think also having lost everything and the pain of losing it all, everything else pales in comparison, so really, and then it was the thick of the recession. In the recession, lost everything, pregnant with my 4th son, I couldn't fall further. There was really nowhere else to go, because one thing that scares people from starting is the fear of failure. I couldn't fail any further than I already was. I was already on the ground, so all I could do was stand up and go. And little victories, like the victory of building the website, that was an event in itself for me, because I had called a good friend of mine, Esau, and he used to live in England, and then he moved to Nigeria with his family. And I knew he was into IT. So I said, I really need a website. I desperately need one. And I need one in 30 days. And he gives me the name of his friend. He says, call my friend. Just tell him you're my sister. And I sort you out. So I call his friend and I say, hey, I'm Esau's sister. He said, he'll sort me out. I need a website. So it's a lovely guy that's telling me all the bells and whistles and the website is built and how we can. And in my mind, all I'm thinking of, I just need a website. I'm not even going to be arrogant and say I want anything fanciful. I just want something that works. And he said to me, how much will you pay? How much do you want to pay? And I said, oh, no, you tell me how much you're going to charge me. And he was like, no, you tell me. And we went back and forth, because there was no way I was going to tell this man that even if he had said £10, I wouldn't be able to afford £10, because I'd need to use the £10 to buy nappies for my baby. So I eventually convinced him to tell me. And he says, because you're Esau's friend, £1,000. And I said, oh, thank you. He goes, that's okay. And I said, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. And I said, I'll call you back. So I thought, okay, I have run out of options. I've got to try Google. And what made me think of Google was, when I was in the US, I had attempted to have an e-commerce website built, and I paid thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to this one guy who created a website that was absolutely stunning, new branding and everything, but did not work. And we fell out acrimoniously. He took my money with him.
Oh, wow.
And took the website because there was still more I was supposed to pay. But I was like, no, fix it and I'll pay the balance. And he was like, no, pay the balance, I'll fix it. So we fell out. There was another woman who I had attempted to get on the website, and I also lost some money with her, because when she finished, I was like, this isn't what I wanted. It looks boring. It looks plain. And we're like, you know what, let's part ways. So, and my Esau's friend was my third contact for a website. And I thought about all these people and said, you know what? They all have one thing in common. None of them was born with the ability to build a website. They had to learn. And if they could learn, so can I. And that's when I went to Google and typed in how to build a website. And I sat there and I studied and I was able to understand all the components and so on. And I got the website going. That in itself, even though I barely got any orders from it, this was for the US store, gave me so much confidence that I could do even more. And so every time I loaded a product onto the website, I'll be like, oh my gosh. And then because I had so many rejections from companies here in the UK, every time I got a yes was a huge celebration.
Yeah.
I saw it was my experiences. Every yes was a step. So it was literally one step after the other, one step on top of the other or in front of the other. And that it was just drawing peace and drawing confidence from the experience. And then, of course, there's my faith as well. As a Christian, I trust in God and I pray. And yes, I was crying and shouting at him most of the time. But that
I know what that's like.
Yeah. But that really helped because I learned a very powerful lesson that it's possible to have joy in the midst of craziness. And there were times that I would be so fed up. And I remember one particular day, I came back in, I had been out, I went to see my mother-in-law and I came out and said, you know what, God, I'm so tired and I'm so fed up that I'm going to kneel down and I'm going to pray and I'm not going to stop until all of this changes. And that was my prayer. And I just sat there and I was just praying and praying. The next thing I knew, I just got filled with this an insane amount of joy. I just felt so joyful. And I was shocked because I thought, where is this coming from? My circumstances hadn't changed. It took a while for my husband to get a job when we came back. So you can just imagine what that's like. Circumstances hadn't changed, but I was filled with joy. And the joy lasted maybe about 4 days or so and slowly started dissipating. And I thought to myself, I don't care what happens. I don't ever want to live without that joy again. And so over time, I would feel myself going down again and getting discouraged. Then I'll go back and pray. And I just no, I must have this joy. I drop everything. I must have this joy. And I found that the joy just helped me to keep going. So that really helped. Journaling is another powerful, powerful tool that helped me, still helps me today. I mean, I'd always journaled anyway, but I began journaling a bit more. I wouldn't even say intentionally. I think just more from a place of liberation, like anything goes. I'm not trying to achieve any goals here. I'm just emptying my mind on paper. And I discovered that I would write my thoughts. I would literally pour everything that's on my mind, especially when I was worried or stressed about things, put it all on paper. And when I look at the list, I'd notice that maybe out of the 10 worrying things on that piece of paper, only about 5 of them, or maybe I'd have about out of the 10, 5 of them were various versions of the same thing, just presenting themselves differently. And then out of the remaining 5, I would say maybe 3 of them were just assumptions of things that had not happened, and I was fearful that they will happen. And then we're left with 2 things that are facts and I can actually deal with. So what was a very overwhelming situation turned out to be, I just owe the electricity bill and I just need to call them and tell them I haven't got the money and I'll try for next week. And that was all I needed to do. So I came to understand that God wanted me to live as me, as the original version of myself, and not a embellished form of me, not the version of Toks that I think will be better accepted out there, or people will be more welcoming to.
And you think you were doing that previously?
Yeah, I definitely was. I mean, for starters, as a Black girl, I didn't have my photograph on my website or on my social media handles or anything like that, because I believed that if my mostly Caucasian clients saw that the owner was Black, they wouldn't shop with me. And so I felt like I needed to hide and put the business forward and hide behind it and not let my face show. That was one. I mentioned that I am a recovered people pleaser. And so I believed that the only way to function was to make sure that everybody around me was happy, even if I was the sacrificial lamb. I learned how I had to stop doing that. And even just fears, sometimes fear coats you, the fear of even using my gift. Inspiration coming from inside that's connected to your purpose, nothing touches that. But so often we're looking around, oh, is that what she's doing? Okay, I'm going to do that too. And I have fallen victim to that so for such a long time. I came to the conclusion that while racism is a very real thing, I don't think I can do anything about someone's hatred toward me because of the color of my skin. And that's okay, because everyone's entitled to feel how they want to feel about people. But what I can do is make room for the culture that I live in and understand their language and understand how they do things and understand their expectations, so that I don't pigeonhole myself and I'm not locked in a box in a corner. So that's the thing. So I didn't go searching for Caucasian clients. It's just that there is only a small minority of Black people in the United Kingdom, and the income is not dispersed favorably for us. Like we don't have the biggest earners in our community, and it just so happens we live in a white country. There are more white people, period. And I'm not targeting my culture or any particular culture. And our stuff is absolutely stunning as well. So if you were to see it, money you'd buy.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure, your products are like stunning, as you say. But even with it's not targeting maybe a culture or targeting Black people, saying this is for Black people. I mean, a baby's cot is a baby's cot. But even if you have, good customer service and everything else, I guess all people, regardless of whatever culture or race they are, would appreciate that. So why do you think is it just a numbers game? You think that the price point of things, and just because maybe in your surrounding area, because I mean, Black people, we do spend, whether or not we have the money or not. We do spend, I know hair and beauty is obviously different price point, but we do spend, a lot of money. We are, great consumers.
I don't think we spend, we do, but you see, even here, historically, the baby's room has always been the smallest room in the house. It's the part, nobody really goes to the baby's room. And even with the wider population in the UK, people spend more money on prams and pushchairs than they do on nursery furniture. I don't do prams and pushchairs.
Okay.
I do furniture. And the reason they do that is because the prams and the pushchairs are visible and people can see it and admire it because it goes out on the streets, whereas the furniture is hidden in the back of the room. So this is something that I see across all races, not just with Black people or with white people. It's just generally the case. Average cost of a nursery at the baby cot shop, the lowest amount of money you'll spend on a nursery is £10,000.
Wow. And what would you get for that? What would you get for that?
For £10,000, you'll get a cot, a changing unit, and a chair, and that's it. So if you really wanted to kit out your nursery properly and do wallpapering and the curtains, get a rug and all of that, and that's even just on standard without upgrading the furniture, then we are talking, you have to head towards the 15 to 20K to get a nursery done with us. And it goes much higher than that. We have nurseries that cost £100,000, and it's just not, you're more likely going to find Caucasian people spending that kind of money than you will with Black people, purely because they are more income rich than we are as a community.
Right. And so if we just say on the 10,000 mark, for example, that's where a nursery can start. Is it other products? What's so unique about them? Is it the material they're made of? Are they handcrafted?
That's everything. Yeah. So they are made for example, all of our wooden furniture is made only from hardwood. They're individually made. They're not mass produced. They're made here in the EU. I say here, we're not in the EU anymore.
Yeah.
They're made in the EU. They're not made in the Far East or anywhere like that. They are made individually. You get to customize them however you choose. If you wanted a pink cot, you can have a pink cot. If you wanted a pink and blue cot, you can have one. If you want your child's name carved onto the cot, you can do that. If you want the child's name hand painted or gold leafed on, you can do that as well. So it's the materials it's made from. Then it's the craftsmanship. It's made from, it's the craftsmen. We're talking of people who have honed their skills for decades. We have a company that we work with that have been in business. They've literally passed this down for over 60, 70 years. So it's not your run of the mill high street type of furniture. It's a very specific furniture for a very specific type of customer. And
Right.
even just this evening, I was on Facebook and I was looking at one of the ads, and we do have people, lots of Caucasian people, who think this is absolutely ridiculous. Why does it cost so much? It's a very niche market. It's not for everyone. It's very expensive. It's not. I mean, I didn't have my kids in the baby cut shop products when I had them. We didn't exist at the time, but still, So it's just really unique and not for everybody.
Sure, no, and that's fair enough. That is absolutely fair enough. As long as you find your market and your customers want what you're selling, then
That's yeah.
you
And I
can't
think
sell to everyone.
we can't sell to everyone, no. And, the people who are very house proud, very clear on their own tastes and their styles. And, they live in prime residential property in central London. They wouldn't want to have a mass-produced item brought into their house. I remembered many years ago, my first attempt at a bespoke piece went horribly wrong, and the householder called and said, "I don't even want it spending a night in my house, so it needs to leave today."
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Gosh.
so that's the thing, And then it takes a long time to produce as well. We have some of our furniture that's carved by hand. That literally takes months to produce. When you order a cot, you're going to wait 8 to 10 weeks to have it ready.
Right,
so it's all that add to it.
Yeah, I guess it's that exclusivity, and then you're branding it yourself, really having it bespoke, custom made. But no, it is very true that you can't sell to everyone. I mean, even in copywriting, there's the rule that if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. You have to find your tribe, find your niche. So I know you said your products come from the EU, and we have left the EU. The UK has left the EU. So how did that disrupt your business? Because a lot of small businesses are struggling with, breaking from the EU. Did that negatively impact you financially, or how's that?
It did in every way. I mean, financially, in the flow of business, in the flow of our processes, logistics, everything. In every way, it did affect us. Logistics, for example, because the items are so expensive, we never would have them shipped by a standard courier company, because if they drop it and it breaks, that's thousands of pounds just gone down the drain. So we used to have these very small companies that would literally pick up from the manufacturer and come straight to us, because every time in furniture land, you pick up a piece of furniture to put it on another van, to put it on a warehouse, there's always a risk of breakage at every time you stop. So for us, it works best that it goes straight from the workroom when it's made and it comes straight to us. And people like that don't exist anymore because of Brexit. And so our shipping costs have gone through the roof. We've obviously got duties to pay. We've had situations where items are stuck in customs for ages. I've got a box now that's been sitting in customs. Well, it's not even in customs. We don't even know where it is. Like it's somewhere, floating somewhere. It's not the first time. So things like that have really affected us. It's been a pain, extra paperwork, because when things leave the EU, they have to do export paperwork. And then when it comes into the UK, then you do import paperwork. And every time you're paying for that, and then there is the time added to it as well. I could go on.
Gosh. So how are you overcoming that? Are you able to, or you're just having to just go through the pain? Are there any solutions?
Yeah, I mean, not really. We're just having to adapt and adjust as we go along. Companies are coming up that are trying to make things easier. There are these platforms now that help to do all of your customs paperwork and so on. Other things that we're just looking at every option and just thinking, okay, should we even be looking outside the UK as a way of growing our market, or should we try and make it work here? So it's just so many conversations that are going on at exactly the same time, just trying everything to make sure that things continue to tick along and grow.
But I know you said that you are looking for funding to progress the business and go forward. Just if you don't mind me asking, so how are you doing that? Are you just literally Googling, or do you have a plan and a process in place?
So not yet. So I'm currently doing a program with the British Library and getting some mentoring and support on all aspects of my business. And so the funding conversation has literally just come up, and
Right.
I haven't even started the process yet. At the moment, I'm still thinking, mulling over in my head, what do I want to do? Doing a little bit of research. So I still don't even know what direction I'm going, to be honest. I would love to not have to raise funding. I would love for the business to pay for itself. And I know miracles do happen. So, it's a wait and see type of thing, but I'm learning as I go along because it's not something I've actively ever looked into previously. I've always been gung-ho against investment because I don't want to have people having a say in the direction of the business. And I feel like it's going to take away from me. But over the last few years, I've kind of softened my heart to it and divorced myself emotionally from it and just said, you know what, let's look at it as an entity, not as your baby, not as your business, what's best for the business. And so that's where I'm at the moment. So it's still very, very much early stages.
What is the one thing you want to achieve with the Baby Cut Shop this year?
Oh, this year. Oh my goodness. I have to choose one.
Okay, I'll give you two then.
Give me two. Well, this year we will be launching our children's collection. So that's the one thing that we must achieve this year is the children's collection. And then I'm also looking to partner with a lot more businesses, or some other retailers. And so that would be our thing. So end of this year, I want to be able to say, oh, I'm so glad we launched our children's collection. And yes, we're in X number of stores in the UK for starters, or even in the EU.
Oh, okay. So to have other stores selling your products.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And when you say children's collection, because the babies are.
We do baby cots, so beds. So to go into bed. Yeah, we started designing them last year. We thought we were going to launch it last year, but just so much happened, we weren't able to. So this year, it's looking like.
So not just babies, but toddlers as well, children as well. The beds are coming.
Exactly, because our furniture is designed to last forever, but obviously a cot is limited in its size. So imagine that someone's purchased the changing unit and they've purchased a wall shelf. But the changing unit has the tray on the changing unit comes off so that it becomes a normal chest of drawers. Then all they need to do is buy the bed to go with it. And they literally can use the whole room forever, like for as long as they want to. So that's the whole idea behind the children's room. The child can still have a coordinated set of furniture from when they were a baby. And the bed is big enough for them to grow into their teenage years with. So.
All right. Okay. So can the cots convert into beds? Can some cots can convert into beds for maybe up to 10 years or something? Is that an option or?
It's an option. So our cots convert into beds for 5 years, but we do have one that converts into a small single that can be used well into the teenage years as well. So.
Right. Oh, sounds good. So Toks, thanks very much for your time. I know it's the end of, a long week, a long day, but just before we go, please let people know where they can find you online and in store as well.
Oh, thank you so much. So the babycutshop.com is the website, and our social media handles are at the Baby Cut Shop. And also I've got a lot on mindset and my business journey and so on and so forth on my website, my personal website, which is toks@rotary.com. And you can also catch me on the Living Inside Out podcast on any podcast platform. So Spotify, Apple, everywhere. And it's called Living Inside Out with Toks.
Great. So I'm sure people will check you out and also have a look at, I'm sure people are going to have to just see what these 10 grand nurseries look like. So I'm sure people will be on your Instagram and at your website as well.